Everybody is trying to replace humans with machine. Can I make them work together as a team? We can't. We are far more superior than any machine can ever be. A lot of people talk about big data, right? I usually go the other way around and I start talking about smaller data. We have an AI assistant. The name of the AI assistant is Shiva. That's shop floor hidden insights value aggregator.
Wow.
Machines are becoming much more smarter. Second is the capability of an operator, or the operators are becoming weaker. And third is data still is disparate and siloed. A machine generates anywhere between 1 to 2 GB of data in a span of 3 days to 5 days, right? The bigger the problem, the faster we should look at it and the better solution that we should come out of these particular efforts, right? But will it ever replace humans? The answer is it's the emotion with which I'm producing a product, right? If I'm working with a company, there's an emotion which is towards the organization, towards the owner of the organization. That part I don't think can be replaced ever, and which is an integral part of the entire thing, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode at Tech Baithak, where we decode transformation at the hands of technology, industry, and innovation. My name is Ashwin Agrawal, and today we shall be stepping inside a world where machines no longer just follow instructions, but they actually learn, predict, and evolve. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to be talking about the world of AI, but I'd say more focused on a particular industry. I'm delighted to introduce my host today. I mean, what can I say about him? He dons many hats, and with a corporate career spanning more than 25 years, I'm sure his hands on experience will help us in providing deep insights into the world of AI. And all I can say is I just look forward to learning, and I'm sure you guys may also looking forward to the same. I know it's been a while since we came out with something like that, but I'm assure you it's going to be totally worth your time. I'm delighted to introduce Mr. Sarang Kamlakar, the founder and CEO at Parenthesis Systems Private Limited. To me, Parenthesis is about being this voice filled with clarity in this ever-changing and ever-complex world of AI. And I'm sure along the way, I'll I'll walk out a more wiser man once we are done with this discussion. Sarangji, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to have you in our office today. How are you doing, sir?
You've just pressurized me.
Oh, is it?
But yeah, I'm doing fine, and thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful opportunity to have a conversation with you and your audience, and it's great to be here. I saw some of the
Right.
previous episodes, and looking forward to a brilliant conversation. Learning. I hope I will also be a wiser man when I
Oh,
get out of this conversation. But yeah, so
no, the pleasure's all mine, sir. The pleasure's all mine. So, sir, before we actually get into the nitty-gritties of tech, AI, because there is a lot of noise around it, I'd say.
sure.
I am personally more curious about your journey, sir. Like, what has made Sarang Kamlakar today? In the sense, what was that one moment, sir, or one defining moment that probably, in your personal opinion, you can tell me or tell our viewers that actually uh, propelled into this thought that, okay, you know what, AI can actually be more than a buzzword and it can actually just, transform the shop floor.
So it never started with AI, because
Hmm.
when I started working, that's like 25, 24 plus years back, right? There was no AI, there was no nothing. I mean, at that point of time, right? So it actually started exploration kind of a journey, right? Wherever I used to go work with the companies, industries, I used to understand what are the different aspects that happens,
Hmm.
right from aviation to agriculture to manufacturing to technology companies. That's what I worked or consulted and things like that. And each company or each industry segment, when I started understanding the nitty-gritties, right, that's where I started realizing that, hey, you know what, technology is what my respite is, right?
Right.
Where I can express myself more amazingly, right? Because at that time when I started my first company, I started with consulting, right? I did not have gray hairs. I have some now, but at that time I did not have gray hairs. So people never used to think that, okay, this is a consultant material or something of that sort, right? So technology started as a rebellious avenue. I said, okay, let me convert my knowledge into a tech platform, which I did.
Hmm.
Then we served some amazing customers with my previous stint as a previous venture basically. Right. And then I started realizing that okay, the technology is shifting, everything is shifting, and there is a definite necessity for something that needs to go much more deeper. And when I was doing all these when I was working with these industries, I started realizing that manufacturing is one industry segment which probably needs a very, very immediate attention, right? And this is not India specific, it is a global scenario. And let me give you what I started realizing, right? At a manufacturing, and this is something which is very true, and that's how we are realizing it also, that when you talk about a manufacturing shop floor, there's no trustworthy of data that is there, right? Then there's no data to decision kind of an orchestration. There's no formal kind of
Correct.
schema of things. And the third, which we look at, is the operators, right? The manufacturing frontline workers. I don't call them workers, but they are like
The drivers.
the human resources, right? The frontline people. The capability is deteriorating over a period of time, and this is a very global phenomenon which needs immediate attention, right? Which is where again, it drew me to building something which is technological interventions like Humac, with a very simple thought that okay, everybody is trying to replace humans with machine. Can I make them work together as a team, right? And that's where human machine convergence as a thought came in, and that's where today I am. AI, of course, is an underlying technology uh, which enables the expression. But at the end of the day, I don't. If you ask me, I don't go to the customer and say we are doing something around AI, right? It doesn't happen that way. It's about what facilitation that I would want to do, and how can I make sure that the operator, who's like the frontline person, gets more empowerment in a very technologically enhancing or challenging world, I would say. And that's what we are essentially trying to build.
Right. That's a very interesting thought, sir, because a lot of, I mean, tech leaders, corporate professionals feel that, you know what, AI will eat up all our jobs and we must do something about it. But you've put out a very beautiful point that there has to be a convergence between humans and machines, or for that matter, human or AI also, because it's at the end of the day, it's technology.
Sure.
So that's, I think that's a point very beautifully put forward, that there has to be a convergence, not a replacement or not a divergence for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, we are not competing with machines, to be very honest.
Right.
Uh, we can't. I mean, we are far more superior than any
Right.
machine can ever be, right?
Correct.
So, for us, how can we come together, converge together, and then create something which is, better world, is something that we are looking at. And that's the thought process with which we are building the entire technology or entire I would say solution suite around this.
Right. So the highlight for me would be that humans and machines must complement each other.
True, very true.
Absolutely. To probably achieve or probably look at the bigger scheme of things, humans and machines must work together for the greater good. Would that be the right way to?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Right.
yes. And it is, that is where it is going to be, right?
Correct.
I mean, think of a scenario today when you are driving maybe a car, right? You always have a driver assistance system, right? Which is guiding you towards a safe driving environment, right? All the time it is warning you or uh, creating an environment for you that okay, the car knows certain things, you know certain things, and when you put both the things together, it becomes a very pleasurable driving experience. I mean, that's how it is in every damn thing, right? You talk about a technology, a software developer, they work with co-pilots of the
Right. Right.
things,
Right.
and when they start looking at those co-pilots, it is like it is enhancing their work. It is making that much more efficient working ecosystem, and that should be the case, and that is going to be the case. So
Yes, I believe that is a very apt example, because you mentioned that, because I believe sometimes we tend to overlook these day-to-day activities that we do, where we're actually, as humans, we are working with machines.
true.
So I think we should just, uh, there's no better way to put it forward, so that we must work with machines for the greater good.
Should
That is what I would say.
should.
Which actually, sir, brings me to my next question, because So there is a dichotomy, I would say, and maybe if you can just
Sure.
clear it for our viewers, I think we'd just be wiser in our course of becoming wise. so so manufacturing, as you rightly mentioned, that you mentioned that there is an immediate need for technology and AI and stuff like that, because the quality is deteriorating. The frontline workers, probably there is a dependency on them, or too much of a dependency on them. So because I mean, to me, I'm not from the manufacturing space, and I'm sure a lot of viewers also who would be watching this may not be from the manufacturing space.
Sure.
So the immediate 4 or 5 points that come to our minds when we hear the word manufacturing are, labor, machines, factories, nowadays compliance, supply chain,
True.
a very critical part of manufacturing. So how does one actually find the right fitment as far as tech or AI is concerned, for that matter, sir?
So it's so this is a good question. I mean, I would rather look at, see what has been happening in terms of, when we look at tech in the last 3 to 4 to 5, maybe 10 years, right? When we started realizing that IoT is a space which is essentially dominated by a lot of connectivity, I would say connected systems, right? That's where the IoT actually started finding its grip or foothold in the manufacturing industry. That there were certain machines which were like, let's say, for the lack of words, a dumb machine, right? Which were not smarter, and we could not extract the data, and so hence some external entities such as sensors, these particulars, the different point solutions started coming into picture, which started connecting the machines together, right? Now, when you started looking at those particular scenario, you started generating amazing set of data, right?
Right.
And when the data started coming in, we started realizing that, okay, there cannot be a disparate system. There cannot be a siloed system that needs to be there, right? So as a result of that, now we talk about, let's say, industry 4, which
Correct.
is completely connected, industry 5, which we are probably representing and pioneering, right? Uh, that's something which is, how can you have human centric approach to every damn thing, right? Whatever is happening on the shop floor, how can I put human at the center of the universe, and then start looking at the entire ecosystem element, and then start connecting it together? So one is definitely that kind of an evolution is making a lot of sense in the manufacturing industry. So that's one. Second is, when we look at use cases from the perspective of a manufacturing shop floor, it's like galore. I mean, you talk about each manufacturing shop floor, they have some unique problems in terms of their own supply chains and value chains and things like that, right? How do you look at those particular individualistic aspects and then bring them together and build a holistic solution, is something that needs to be very, very needs to be looked at. That's one. Second is, if you look at AI, manufacturing is by far the, I would say, the most prominent industry that generates crazy amount of data.
Right.
So if I give you an example, a machine generates anywhere between 1 to 2 GB of data in a span of 3 days to 5 days, right? Depending on the operations that are happening on those particular machines, right? Now, when you look at a industry or a company which has got, let's say, hundreds of machines running together, I mean, that's a massive data which is getting generated. So you would need to look at those particular aspects in a very different fashion. And the third, which is most important, is from a manufacturing perspective, and that is what I follow when I look at building Humac and getting
Correct.
into the industry segment, is anything which is inch wide, mile deep is a better solution, right? So I don't want to look at it from a very superficial aspects of it, right? I don't want to look at that, okay, this machine has got, let's say, a vibration deviations, right?
Correct.
Which means something is wrong with it. That's a very superficial definition of a problem statement, right? Can I go much deeper and then go into a scenario wherein, because of this, this is happening, because of this? So I always, so recently I read a book, right? Which is where there's a definition of truth which was amazingly given, right?
Okay.
It's the level of knowingness is equivalent to the truth. So
Okay.
from the machine's perspective, the more deeper my level of knowingness is, the better truth I will be able to uncover, right? Or discover. And that's where some of the pivotal thought process in Humac is going. How can we increase the level of truth or level of knowingness in the entire manufacturing ecosystem on a shop floor, and how can we amplify that whatever intelligence that we are generating on a shop floor to bridge the gap between a shop floor and a top floor. That's where we are kind of looking at. So yeah, to sum up
Yeah.
what you probably asked, these are some of the scenarios that we are looking at, and I'm sure there are so many other aspects which people are looking at it from multi-dimensional perspective. And all through these particular things, all of these are efforts, I would say, are increasing the level of knowingness that we have on the manufacturing shop floor, which is very fascinating. Which is very fascinating.
Right. That is another, wise point for our viewers. I'd say that the level of knowingness actually increases your truth. And what was that, sir?
So the truth equals to level of knowingness.
The truth equals to the level of knowingness. So the more knowledge you gain, the more truth you start seeing. That is what is the essence, right? I think. What was the name of the book, sir?
It's power versus force.
Power versus force. This one is for you, viewers. You must actually start, I'd say, in this quest of knowledge. This is one book that probably you can start reading in terms of like becoming more knowledgeable, and at the same time starting to realize more truths along the way. I'd say. Well, I mean, quite an interesting point, sir, that you have put forward. And since you were speaking about Humac, for all our viewers, sir, and for myself as well, sir, why don't you explain to me also and the viewers subsequently what exactly, because you are the founder of this organization called Parenthesis Systems.
Sure.
And Humac is something which I presume is doing something, is AI centric, but obviously
True.
with regards to the manufacturing industry per se.
Sure.
So if you can just break it down for a viewer, sir, what exactly is the mission and vision of probably Parenthesis, or for that matter, Humac? And what are some of the key problems that you've actually managed to address through Humac? I think that would actually be quite a discussion to have.
Sure. So what is happening on a manufacturing ecosystem, right? When we talk about manufacturing, right, and a lot of people start looking at it from multiple perspectives, right? If you ask me, the real problem on a manufacturing shop floor is happening in three ways, right? One is the machines are becoming much more smarter, right? Second is the capability of an operator, or the operators are becoming weaker. And third is data still is disparate and siloed. Right? Now, these are the three problems which are definitely there, which are hitting a manufacturer day in, day out. Now there is a scenario which we are trying to build through Humac, is how can we collect the intelligence from the machines, the physical ecosystem, convert it into an insight for the operator, and how can we build a co-operator for an operator which is far more intelligent. So if you ask an operator who's running a, let's say, a CNC or a VMC machine, they're not supposed to decipher the data, right? They're supposed to be producing
Collecting the data, probably.
No, they're supposed to be producing the parts. They've got nothing to do with the data.
Right.
Can we create a scenario through a technology intervention that there is a cooperator who's an expert in data, who's understanding the entire ecosystem data, deciphering that and telling the operator that, okay, what is the next best thing that they are supposed to be doing, right? And that's a very fundamental thought process with which we've started building Humac. So if we look at three stages, right? For the operator, can it be a cooperator? For a manager, can it be an insight generator? And for the leaders, can it be a value aggregator? That's what we are looking at, essentially what Humac is doing on a manufacturing shop floor, with a purpose and vision is simple, right? How can we maximize the man-machine margins for the manufacturer? And that's as simple as that. So it's like a driver assistant I talked about.
Right.
Can we create a operator or a machine assistant which is much more wiser, much more intelligent, who can decipher the data, decode the data, observe that, monitor that, and then tell the operator that, okay, these are the next activities that they are supposed to be doing, right? Also can be something which is very human in perspective, that, okay, if the operator is be working endlessly, can it can it look at those human aspect and ask an operator that, okay, why don't you go and grab a glass of water or something of
Oh.
that sort, which doesn't happen. I mean, if you look at an efficiency perspective, right? It is not. So what I believe fundamentally, Ashwin, is
Right.
in manufacturing segment, when we talk about transformation, it cannot be a technology intervention. It has to be a behavioral led transformation, right? Unless and until I look at a behavior of how to consume a data, unless and until I look at a behavior of an operator, how do they follow the processes and stuff like that, right? And if I start creating what I call it as constructive interference, right? So whenever there is a deviation that is happening, can I come and intervene and say, you know what, you're deviating somewhere? Can we just realign to the normal course? And if that happens, we've seen operators' efficiency go up. We've seen the processes, yield more better results, and it's across. I mean, we've got a bot. I hate to call it as a bot, but we have an AI assistant. The name of the AI assistant is Shiva.
Shiva.
That's shop floor hidden insights value aggregator.
Wow.
So what it does essentially is it will create entire, or collect all the data, monitors it, observes it, and then build a,
More of a business intelligence thing, is it?
it's an intelligence which is, I wouldn't call it as a business intelligence because an operator level, there's no business intelligence.
Got it.
It's like if, let's say, for example, if there is a line speed which is deviating,
Mm.
it will just tell that, okay, correct the line speed,
Right.
and that's about it. The business implication at a leadership level may be humongous because of those smaller actions which have been triggered. But essentially, it is the operator has got nothing to do with that.
Basically,
we are-
enhancing the operator's efficiency.
I would say yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. So the scenario that I'm looking at as a vision, which you asked me,
Correct.
is at this point of time, there's a huge dependence on the capability of an operator when we look at manufacturing, right?
Right.
And if we were to look at more enhanced activities in terms of manufacturing as a country, I would say that we will have to reduce this dependence on the capability, and there will have to be something which will be an intelligent ecosystem that we'll have to build, which is what we are heading towards. And as parenthesis or as Humac, that's the vision that we are putting it across, that how can we create an intelligent ecosystem intelligence, and then look at how can we reduce the capability dependence on the humans, so that everything can become much more amazing, right? Anybody can go on a manufacturing shop floor and start working with the help of a technology, and that's what it is.
That's a very valid point, sir, because you mentioned that because I mean, essentially, as I also mentioned earlier, that when we hear manufacturing, the first thought that comes to our mind is labor, because essentially in the movies also like the laborers used to go on a strike, and then the factories used to be shut down for a brief period of time. So we have that mindset that okay, it's labor, and you rightfully mentioned that there is a lot of dependency on the operator. So I think I mean, hats off to you, sir. Then since you have, I mean, from where I look at it, you are actually trying to address the age-old problem, or I'd say the most. I mean, how do I say it? The most like affected pain point
Sure.
of a manufacturer, for that
Sure.
matter,
Sure.
where he's reeling with, and there apparently seems to be no substitute to that.
Yeah, absolutely no substitute. I mean, if I give you some anecdotal data, right?
Right.
In terms of global manufacturing, the average workforce in terms of the age is in between 49 to 60 years, right? Now, if you look at, there's a machine which is becoming much more intelligent, right? It's too late for the kind of operators that we are looking at
Right.
to learn a new thing,
Correct.
to look at those, because they're already started to look at their retirement, right? They would always be like, if I have got 5 years left, why should I get into the
Yeah, why should I learn
Yeah.
about a new technology?
And at that point of time, if you look at the young generation that is coming out, right, they don't have an inclination towards getting into a shop floor, dirtying their hands and so on and so forth. Everybody wants to work in AI. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But
Right.
at the same time, I mean, can we make manufacturing great again?
Wow.
Is something which is again, driven by the bug of making it great again. I started realizing or building Something that, okay, we need to make the manufacturing shop floors great again so that talent would start coming in. And then we start building something from an intelligent ecosystem, right? So if you look at an operator in a IT scenario, right, an IT parlance, if there's a developer who doesn't know any damn thing about how to code and the standards and best practices,
Yep.
what they do is they take a help of a co-pilot and they start building the code, right?
Absolutely.
Why can't it be same on a manufacturing shop floor, right? Wherein I take maybe a junior ITI apprentice and I start putting it across in the ecosystem wherein there is already a pre-built intelligence which will start guiding the operator to kind of operate the machine, get the similar level of productions and things like that. So that's predominantly what we are essentially looking
A
at.
very fascinating way to look at a problem, I would say, sir. That is my immediate reaction that I can give you. That and you mentioned that make manufacturing great again. I'd say that is the highlight for me, based on this discussion that we are having, because I don't know, sir. There's this certain preconceived notion about the manufacturing sector that it's boring, it's maybe not so cool. Since you mentioned about the young generation that they do not want to dirty their hands on the factory or probably in a production plant. So I think this Humac, I think, is definitely playing its part in trying to make manufacturing great again, as you rightly mentioned. And keeping that same thought in mind, sir, where you mentioned that, you know what, the previous generation probably was okay. Now, I don't know, sir, maybe you can tell me if they were okay naturally or inherently, or because they were left with no choice, that is why they were okay with dirtying their hands. Could be it. Maybe you can probably provide some clarity. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned that the younger generation or probably the new generation, as we call them, I mean, there are many words that I kind of lose track. Millennials, Gen Z, and I don't know, sir. But let's just say the new generation. Sure. They do not want to dirty their hands. They want to work in like comfortable rooms, and they want to probably see like as less as physical labor what they can.
Sure.
Like if they can get the job done with as less as a physical labor they can, they're naturally inclined towards that. Now here is where I'd say this topic gets way more interesting, because you mentioned that the previous generation is there. They are looking at their retirement. They have done their job. They have done their bit. Now they're looking at the retirement.
Sure.
The younger generation, they do not want to dirty their hands as their predecessors did. Now, when someone, sir, like you, a visionary probably, tries to bridge the gap between the previous generation and the new generation. Sir, in your experience, have you seen any kind of a resistance from the previous generation? Because I mean, yes, they may be looking at the retirement, all of that is fine, but they are the ones who will guide the newer generation. I mean, as you mentioned, that the developer,
Sure.
co-pilot can only do so much.
Sure.
The human presence cannot be negated completely.
Sure.
So, have you seen some kind of a resistance there? Because when you talk about that, okay, I'll be using Humac or for that matter, any technology, you know, I don't want to use this. Um, it's happening, right? As we say it in Hindi, कि हमारा काम तो चल ही रहा है ना इसके
True.
बिना भी.
True.
So, इसकी क्या ज़रूरत है? Have you seen that kind of a resistance, sir?
I wouldn't call it as a resistance,
Right.
Ashwin, because I'll tell you, and this is a brilliant point that you brought it out.
Correct.
What is happening globally is when we look at the older versus newer generations, right? Uh, the biggest challenge is the knowledge transfer, and there are no resources for those particular scenarios, right? How do I transfer? How do I retain the knowledge of somebody who's been working on that machine for, let's say, 20 years, 25
Right.
years, 30 years, right? He knows
Correct.
so many things about that machine, so many things about the processes, so many nitty-gritties of how can certain things be better. Now, just because there's a lack of technology, should we miss out on this knowledge repository?
Mm.
Is a primary thought that needs to come into the picture, and which is where when we talk about Humac, what we are trying to look at is how can we make this transitioning much easier for a newer generation. Not that somebody is not willing to come or something of that sort, right? But the reason why they are not willing to come is they don't have enough knowledge, they don't have enough resources to understand that how it happens and things like that. uh, it has got nothing to do with probably the education system, right? Because in an education system, wherever they are learning, they will definitely get to learn a lot of things, right? And all the right things at the same time. But when you actually step into a manufacturing shop floor, the dynamics changes. Something that you have theoretical knowledge on and something which is a practical. So somebody who's retiring probably, right? They need to transfer the knowledge to the newer generation. How much they can do it is something that is always debatable, because if they don't have technology resources, then it becomes a bigger problem. And that's one of the problem, by the way, globally. One of the primary reasons why people have now started shifting towards technological intervention is that the knowledge is going away. The moment knowledge goes out, I don't know how to retrain or reskill these people, right? And that's one of the predominant reason, where you look at, let's say, US, Europe, where the manufacturing, again, the baby boomers are going to be retiring, very soon. There's a huge amount of retirement that is going to happen. So the bigger challenge that is in front of these, geographies is how do we retain the knowledge and transfer it to the next person who's going to be coming in, right? And which is again where we've started realizing that, okay, this is another area where Humac can play a very active role in terms of understanding those particular nitty-gritties, getting the intelligence built in, and then transferring it to the next person who's going to be joining in. So yeah, it's a very, very valid and amazing problem to look at, and it requires a very immediate attention, right? And that's some of the things which are which again, that draws me to manufacturing as an industry segment, because the problem is amazing. It's a humongous problem. So
Right.
the bigger the problem, the better, uh, you know the faster we should look at it, and the better solution that we should come out of these particular efforts, right? That's what we are essentially looking at.
I'd say spoken like a true visionary, that it's an amazing problem. I'd say that is what probably is the difference between a businessman and a visionary. Because the businessman, I'd say, is focused mostly towards the business part of things. But here, you, sir, I believe that you're looking at a problem, and you're at the same time you're saying that, you know what, it's an amazing problem. Let's solve it. I think definitely that is the approach we need in not just the manufacturing sector, in every sector where it may be a problem. I believe. Since, sir, you mentioned that you service mostly the manufacturing customers, sir, and in India, obviously, predominantly the manufacturing space has been limited to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, sir, as we already know. Sir, in your expert opinions, what would be your go-to advice to all the manufacturing owners out there in terms of how they should approach AI for the betterment or for the scaling, or not just the betterment or scaling, but in general? Because as you mentioned that, the older generation is retiring, the baby boomers are about to retire, the newer generation is kind of lost and confused. Owners have a huge task on their shoulders that, how do I transfer the knowledge, as you mentioned, the KT or the knowledge transfer as we call it, that how do I transfer the knowledge from the older generation to the newer generation in a way that my business just expands.
True.
So what would be your advice to all those manufacturing owners, sir? How do they approach technology?
I'm too young
Or
to
AI?
advise, but yeah, this is something which I can share, maybe as what we are experiencing, right? And this is something which I probably go with in terms of suggestion that, okay, this is how it will be better. Uh, AI is the last thing that we discuss with the customer.
Ah,
So it's not about can I create a phenomenally glamorous solution
correct.
and then put it across, which has got no use, right? Instead of that, how can I start looking at, let's say, if there is a downtime, if there is a maintenance which is an issue, if there's a quality which is an issue, if there is efficiency is an issue, how can we start collecting the data?
Right.
Start looking at those particular aspects, and then start building a layered solution. As I said, see, it's not like I don't have a recipe probably, for that. Okay, do this, and then it will be like a magic wand will be
Correct.
there, and then you can eradicate all your problems. It doesn't happen that way, right? Everything has to be right from a step one. You start building the data, then you start making some sense out of that data, and then you slowly move towards deeper insights, and then what are the things that needs to happen. So it's not that I always recommend my customers is something which is we should start very small. A lot of people talk about big data, right?
Right.
I usually go the other way around and I start talking about smaller data, right? We start looking at the small data, which is essentially which is there hidden in the processes,
Correct.
hidden in the parametric repositories, and so on and so forth. So how can we take those particular data, understand the behavior of a machine, of the operator, of the entire value chain, and then start making some sense, some insights from those data, and then go deeper into it, right? And then is where we start realizing that, okay, hey, you know what, these are the areas where we should be focusing more. These are the areas which are not so impactful. So maybe we can look at those. It's always a together journey, right? One of the basic aspect that I look, or rather, I request my customers also, and fortunately, I've been very, very blessed to have customers who actually comes up and say, hey, let's team up together and let's look at the problem. Otherwise, manufacturing is very, so to say, vendor oriented,
Yeah.
of an ecosystem, right?
Supply chain, as I was speaking.
If you are given it to a vendor, I mean, they'll figure it out how to do that, right? That's the problem. That's the mindset. But I can tell you it is changing for sure. So if you ask me, my piece of advice or suggestion could be start small, start looking at, covering the entire value chain, entire aspects of man, material, machine, methods, and then start building it from grounds up, right? That's where the entire thing would come in. Something which is, let's say, a rag or anything, I mean, from a, uh, although we have the bot, I mean, I don't want to get into that, but it's not like, once you have a bot, it can do every damn thing for you.
Right, right.
That's not the scenario for manufacturing. For manufacturing, it needs to understand there has to be a lot of contextual intelligence, right? And building that contextual intelligence takes time. It requires subject matter expertise, and that's the way to go about it, right? That's the way to go about it.
Right, right. I think quite insightful that there is no. So what I make out of it is that there is no recipe or a structured approach, because each business is different, each business's culture is different, each business's working style is different. But the important takeaway would be that we should not be afraid of tech, and we must actually look at the areas wherein we must, I mean, we must that actually matter. So we just shouldn't adopt tech for the sake of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, chalo, matlab, okay, I'm see that okay, my tech journey has begun.
Yeah,
That shouldn't be the case, or what I take out of it.
sure. Shouldn't be the case.
Correct.
I mean, just because some of the business outlooks
Right.
or the reports are saying that, okay, everybody's moving towards techs, and the tech is becoming more glamorous, AI is becoming more glamorous, so I should also have AI in my facility. It is not necessary, to be very honest.
Right.
It has to be felt from within, right? And that's the real, I would say, embarking point. That, okay, if I have the real need, then I should go for those particular things. And if you ask me, Ashwin, every manufacturing company, be it a small, mid, large, they are in definite need, or I would say the dire need for a technology intervention, which can actually start looking at the manufacturing shop floor in a very different fashion. And fortunately, there is a lot of work that is happening across the globe. Some amazing companies are doing some amazing stuff. Uh, Parenthesis, we are fortunate to contribute some bits of it, and we continue to do so.
Correct.
And it's phenomenal. I mean, the way we are looking at it is amazing. I mean, we are heading towards a very nice times in terms of manufacturing, I would say, because there is an awareness which is increasing, be it tier 2, tier 3 cities,
Right.
which you mentioned, and thanks to the GPTs of the world,
Right.
there's amazing education that people have got into. I mean, it's like, uh, sometimes it is too much also, but then from a manufacturing perspective, that awareness is very, very welcoming, and people have actually started realizing that, hey, this technology can make an impact on my shop floor, and that's the reason why when we go and meet the customers, regardless of the size of the customer, usually we have a very phenomenal discussion where they are aware of what's the advancement that are happening, and in a smaller way they are ready to experiment with this technology, and this is like tier 3 cities also, I would say. Some of it is being pressed upon by the larger manufacturers. So if I have the OEM who is pressing on saying that okay, the vendors also need to upgrade or enhance themselves. So some of it is coming from that. Some of it is coming from within the need within, I would say. But overall, yeah, tech tier 2, tier 3 cities, the manufacturing clusters, I would say, is becoming amazing to kind of get into, to work with. Gone those days where people never used to know a tech piece, right? They would always be apprehensive ki if you are coming to sell technology. I mean, we are not the ones, maybe that's changing, and which is very welcoming.
Absolutely, sir. Because our government also, right?
Yeah.
As of today, is pushing people like whoever wants to start a business. The go-to advice that our government is also giving is that, you know what, you want to do business, right? Why don't you explore manufacturing?
True.
So I think this change is welcoming, as you rightly mentioned, and I think in the greater scheme of things, I think it will benefit us as a nation also.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
because manufacturing anyway, I mean, some of us, we all use products in our day-to-day life. Could be anything, as small as a nail pin to an Airbus, for that matter.
Sure.
All are products at the end of the day.
Sure.
So manufacturing is booming. You, as you mentioned, through Humac, are playing your part, sir, in trying to optimize manufacturing as much as you could.
Sure.
So again, I'd say it's a collation, a combination of various factors that is
Sure.
going to benefit all of us as Indians and as a nation together.
And one more interesting trend,
Right.
Ashwin, if I can just
Yes, please.
maybe press upon, is what used to happen maybe 5 years, 10 years back, where we used to have a very, I would say, clustered approach in terms of manufacturing, right? So Pune is a manufacturing hub, Aurangabad is a manufacturing hub.
Correct.
If I'm talking about
Correct.
India, so to say, right? Or Maharashtra for that matter.
Right.
It is changing, right?
Correct.
It is getting more distributed, and this is happening globally. So probably we never thought. I mean, if you look at it in a global context, right? Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, or if you go to the US part of it, Mexico, Chile, these are the segments which are becoming much more manufacturing hubs. So
Vibrant.
yeah, and they are now becoming manufacturing hubs, right? So what was concentrated in one of the geographies is now getting distributed across the geographies, which gives us opportunity and challenges of its own, right? Because when it starts getting distributed in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or non-manufacturing geographies, the operators are going to be challenges. Again, the training is going to be a challenge. The processes and things like that is going to be a challenge. So in that era of things which we are now heading towards, right, where the manufacturing is more getting distributed, and more geographical footprints it is creating, a technological intervention is much more needed, and that's where the opportunity landscape is, and that's what we are capitalizing on. When you talk about tier 2, tier 3
Right.
cities, I mean, that's amazing to look at from a business standpoint, that okay, manufacturing is getting distributed, and there are so many players who are entering into manufacturing. Second generation is again something which is very amazing to work with. They are tech savvy. They've
Right.
understood the impact of a technology. You are a second generation entrepreneur. I mean, you are into a technology aspect. So that's something, if let's say, for example, somebody talks to you in the technology language, you would be better equipped to understand and appreciate that kind of an intervention. So you would have much more deeper conversation with that kind of an, maybe a service provider or technology intervention. So that's predominantly what is happening in manufacturing. And it's amazing to see that.
I'd say again spoken like a true visionary, because Sarangji is continuously stressing upon the fact that it's amazing, and uh, it's very inspiring also, sir. I'd say at the same moment that you are uh, in an adversity, you are seeing an opportunity. So that is inspiring also at the same time, is what I can say. Uh, just to conclude our discussion, sir, I'd like to just we have included this fun segment that we do with all our guests.
Sure.
Probably if you also can partake in this, I think this will be a very fun activity that we will do.
All games.
So it's like a rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay. So I mean, the concept is very simple. I'll be posing a question in front of you, and you have to just answer whichever thought first comes to your mind.
Okay.
and as quick as possible. That is the whole concept.
I'll try.
Okay. So,
I'll try.
since we have spoken a lot about like tech, AI, manufacturing, sir, if you were to describe the tech scene in manufacturing today using a movie title, sir, what title would you give?
Wow. Rush hour, maybe. It's the time to rush.
It's the time to rush. Wow, I think that's a very apt title, Rush Hour. You know, for all the manufacturing owners, I think this is your cue that you need to take right now. Rush Hour. Wow, amazing, amazing. And that probably brings me to my second question in the rapid fire segment, sir. That one area that you feel that despite how much ever AI and how much ever tech we use, this area can, I mean, we can never use AI in this area. We will always have a human intervention in the context of manufacturing, sir. What is that particular area that you feel?
I would always say it's emotion.
Ah,
So it's the emotion with which I'm producing a product, right? End of the day, I know see, if I work on a machine for, let's say, n number of years, I start building a bond with that machine, right? And that's a human emotion that comes in, and with that human emotion, I start understanding the machine much better. I start looking at things very differently. Or if I'm working with a company, there's an emotion which is towards the organization, towards the owner of the organization. That part I don't think can be replaced ever, and which is an integral part of the entire thing, right? Because if I have the emotion, I'll always do the right thing. I will never do something which is wrong purposefully, right? And that's something which cannot be replaced by AI or tech, for that matter. Yeah, emotion is at a pivot of every damn thing, right? And we should keep that. When we are building AI, we should always look at those particular aspects which cannot be done. I mean, I'll give you another parlance, right?
sure.
In a winery, wine industry, basically, right? You can't replace a taster.
Absolutely.
The wine has to be tested by somebody who's
Human.
yeah, and it needs to be validated that yes, it has got the same tests, it has got the same concentration of liquids and fluids and alcohols and things like that, and hence it is a good wine.
Ah, right.
In a manufacturing segment, yes, 2/3 of the activities are still human. I mean, you can't have people replacing all the humans with robots. Not possible.
Quite a realistic and a poignant take, I would say, that you may be able to use all the tech that you have at your disposal. You may be able to optimize the processes fantabulously, but the emotion part, which is the most underlooked part, I'd say, in anything for that matter, because as humans, I think that is the fundamental difference, right, between humans. Otherwise, we would all be robots if we without emotions. I think, yeah, that's quite a poignant take, sir, I'd say. And uh, the last question, sir, in probably this rapid fire segment would be that, sir, what is the one biggest myth according to you, sir, as far as AI is concerned?
That AI can replace humans. It's
Correct.
not going to happen.
Absolutely, because I think you cleared that in the very first lesson that, you know what, we must work in a complementary manner with AI or machines or technology for that matter.
I mean, people talk about the super intelligence and all these things,
Right.
Singularity and all these aspects, right? That by 2040 we would have reached, or AI would have reached to the singularity point. Uh, I have my reservations from a perspective that it can reach to a phenomenal level of intelligence, but will it ever replace humans? The answer is I don't think so. Right? It will always, we will have to learn to coexist, because in that coexistence or convergence is where I see the future, and that's how it is always going to be, right? Humans and machines working together in a very convergent ecosystem. Of course, the intelligence can be, it can be a convergent intelligence, right? But yeah, that's a myth which I would
Correct.
say.
So we must not be afraid, rather we must accept
Yeah,
change.
absolutely.
We must not be afraid of change. We must rather accept change
Yeah.
for the greater good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should embrace it. I mean,
Absolutely.
with both the hands, because there's some amazing work that is happening
Right.
in the field of AI. technology for that matter. I mean, look at few of my friends are working in med tech. They're working on something like cancer discovery, or how do they look at now AI is playing a very phenomenal role in terms of giving them certain aspects that they never thought were possibles, and then so that's a very very amazing contribution, as far as the technology is looking at. And it's very encouraging to see that as a something which is helping the humanity to look at different horizons altogether which were unexplored, uncharted. So yeah, and that's something which is thanks to AI and technology, or I would say the awareness, the knowingness of technology.
Correct.
Was it there ever? Yeah, AI has always been there, right? Deep learning algorithms have been there since eternity, but because of this new, I would say, era,
Correct.
which is AI first, we are looking at a very different scenario from a knowingness perspective, and that's something which is very promising.
Right. Uh, that is a very, I'd say, a realistic. It's actually a mixture. Since you spoke about emotions, sir,
Yeah,
I'm actually filled with mixed emotions right now
true.
because it's very realistic, it's very poignant, very practical. At the same time, it is like I'd say it's very nice. I don't know, but it's very refreshing. If that is the word I can use.
Okay.
Your take on a lot of things, sir. It's very refreshing because the way you spoke and extensively about the uh, weaving of emotions in technology. I think that is one area where, as business leaders, as people in general, we kind of tend to overlook. So I think that is a very interesting take. Uh, I mean, thank you so much, sir, for this session, and thank you so much for the for your input, sir. I can definitely, I wouldn't say that I hope or anything like that, but I have definitely become much more wiser than what I was probably half an hour or 40 minutes ago, sir. Thank you so much for all your insights, sir. And for all our viewers, I hope it was totally worth the wait. Stay tuned for more such episodes that will be coming out in the future. Until then, stay safe, stay happy.